Hello, this is Lady Boulain. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, ever since the Supreme Court ruled that black people could marry white folk, jungle fever has been raging throughout black communities across this country. And now black women are being compared to white women, and white women have been voted best all around by some. And they say that, what do they say about them? They say they're fit, friendly, and feminine, and that they are just wonderful, and that they are the best mates for black men. So we call that jungle fever. Nevertheless, a lot of black men really like these women. And people should be able to love, marry, and procreate with whomever they choose. But here's a warning. There is a downside to jungle fever. This is black American actor Jonathan Majors and his live-in girlfriend. Well, now she's been demoted to the status of ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabbari. They have been involved in a jungle fever relationship for some time. And now he has just now seen the downside of jungle fever, because it is quite possible that he will be going to jail doing some time for beating up this white woman. And if you say, well, he didn't beat her up, he fractured her finger and cut her ear and threw her back in the SUV when she was trying to chase him down the street, which he didn't succeed at because they were filmed running down the street like a bunch of idiots that were escaping from an insane asylum. So after all of that, it ended up he went one way that night and she went another way, apparently picking up strangers in the street, going into a bar, getting drunk, and coming back home. So the next morning, he comes back home, they have an altercation, and she ends up passed out or something, but just drunk. But anyway, out of concern for her, he called an ambulance, and the police also came. She makes a charge that he assaulted her. So guess who goes to jail? He goes to jail. They just had his trial, and he was found guilty of assault and harassing her. I guess trying to make her get into the SUV was harassment. She had reportedly said earlier that while this case was pending, that the court would believe her because she's a woman. But what she really meant was the court was going to believe her because she's a white woman. Now I want to emphasize that this has nothing to do with black women. This was strictly between Jonathan Majors and his live-in girlfriend. And this verdict was predictable. Nobody can tell black people that we are still in the land of our captivity. You're not home free because you can act or sing or dance or tell jokes, or because you think you're cute, or because you got a degree from Harvard. You are not out of the woods. You are still in the land of your captivity. And nobody can make you believe that. You just have to mess around and find out for yourself. And look how sad he looks. And this looks like it might be his sister on the side, looking so sad, like she's crying. So this is what jungle fever can turn into. And then it looks like Megan Good in the back and another black woman that looks like she could be his mother. There are 3 black women in this picture that apparently is his support team. So this is the downside of jungle fever. So the headline: Marvel, Disney drop actor Jonathan Majors after he's convicted of assaulting his former girlfriend. Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company have dropped actor Jonathan Majors after his conviction on charges of assaulting his former girlfriend in New York City earlier this year. So not only is he convicted, but now he's lost work. 2 companies have dropped him. Jungle fever, I hope it's worth it. New York, Jonathan Majors was convicted Monday of assaulting his former girlfriend after a trial that he hoped would vindicate him and restore his status as an emerging Hollywood star. It did just the opposite. Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company dropped him hours after the verdict. I can't imagine how he thought that he was going to be vindicated after that white woman said he assaulted her and the police came and wrote up the report just like she said. It didn't matter whatever else was said. And she went to the hospital and she was treated for a fractured middle finger, a cut behind the ear, and she underwent a psychiatric evaluation. So see, that put her in a vulnerable position, a position for her to look like a victim. But anyway, a Manhattan jury found Majors, 34, guilty of one misdemeanor assault charge and one harassment violation stemming from his March confrontation with then-girlfriend Grace Jabbari. She said he attacked her in a car and left her in excruciating pain. His lawyer said Jabbari was the aggressor, and it appears that she was. So what if she's lying? This is an old trick. This is an old trick by white women, and there is no reason for them to change a strategy that's still working. It's been working for ages, and as long as it's working, there's no reason to change it. The article continues, Majors, who was acquitted of a different assault charge and of aggravated harassment, looked slightly downward and showed no immediate reaction as the verdict was read. He declined to comment as he left the courthouse. So, okay. This is a different article. It says, a Manhattan jury on Monday found actor Jonathan Majors guilty of assaulting and harassing his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabbari. Jurors deliberated for about 6 hours over a span of 3 days and pored over clashing narratives about what happened inside and outside an SUV on Canal Street on the night of March 25th. The jury sent several notes requesting to rewatch video evidence, have charges clarified, and testimony read back before finding Majors guilty on 2 of the 4 charges. So they had him up for 4, and he was found guilty of 2. So, I'm not sure how much that even helps. In the end, they determined Majors recklessly but not intentionally injured Jabbari and harassed her outside the SUV after the altercation. Well, if they know it wasn't intentional, why would they find him guilty? Because if they found him guilty of assault, that's a sentence involved in that of some sort. Majors sat emotionless in court as the verdict was read. His family stayed silent after the verdict was handed down. Yes, I'm sure they were very disappointed. But if his mother or grandma, anybody, would have tried to warn him about that kind of relationship, I doubt he would have listened. I mean, you could make an argument that this could have happened with a black woman, but I'm going to say very unlikely. And I'm going to leave it at that. Prosecutors said Majors assaulted Jabbari after she saw a romantic text from another woman on his phone and grabbed it. Jurors saw photos of what doctors confirmed were Jabbari's broken finger and lacerated ear. Jabbari said Majors inflicted those injuries on her in an effort to retrieve his phone. Majors' defense said Jabbari was the instigator, and the only thing that broke in the back of the SUV was Grace's heart. Well, boo-hoo-hoo. The defense showed video of Jabbari partying at Lucy's nightclub less than an hour later with strangers she met on the street and played the 911 call Majors made when he couldn't get in touch with Jabbari the next morning. NYPD officers found Jabbari inside the closet of their Chelsea apartment. According to officers, she seemed delirious and was wearing only a shirt. She wasn't delirious, she was drunk. There was no video evidence inside the SUV, only testimony of the driver who described Jabbari as the aggressor. See? So the only witness said she was the aggressor and he was still found guilty. Okay, nothing like the American judicial system. The jury found there was enough evidence to convict Majors on 2 counts, reckless assault and harassment. The judge set Majors' sentencing for February 6th and issued a new order of protection barring him from any contact with his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabbari. He faces up to a year in prison. Majors attended each day of the trial but did not take the stand. Okay, so this is the price of jungle fever. This is the downside of jungle fever. You enter at your own risk. And black people have to continue to say that because black women in particular have been sort of bullied into not saying anything about these relationships because you get accused of being jealous or get compared with some other race of woman, and so you don't say anything. But then when you got to go to jail, then who shows up? 3 black women. And for the black men who risk it all, maybe it's worth it. But there is a downside to jungle fever. And the person that's going to pay the highest price, regardless to what the combination is black men. Because a white man is not going to pay the same price for doing the same thing to a black woman that a black man does to a white woman. So if a price is to be paid for jungle fever, the black man is going to pay the highest price. Now here's another thing. The district attorney of New York County is Alvin Braggs. Alvin Braggs could have done the same thing for Jonathan Majors that Daniel Cameron did for those white police officers that killed Breonna Taylor. He could have chosen not to take the case to the grand jury, but decided himself that there was not enough evidence to prove that a crime was committed. Or he could have weighed in on it on another way, and Jonathan Majors could have received lesser charges. Alvin Braggs is married to a black woman. And yes, I'm going to go there. Alvin Braggs has high political aspirations. So should he risk his political future for a black man who is involved in jungle fever? I say hell to the no. Hell to the no. Some black men can make these relationships with white women work. And my advice would be that if you want to be in a jungle fever relationship, you need to go to some of these black men who seem to be making these relationships work and get as much advice as you can from them. Because if you decide that you're going to leave a jungle fever relationship with a white woman and she's not ready to end that relationship, you're going to end up in some trouble. And especially if you think you're going to leave her for a more attractive, more accomplished black woman, you got trouble on your hands, buddy. Now, according to scripture, we're not supposed to be marrying outside of our tribe or dealing with men or women outside of our tribe. Like Samson, they will bring you down. But if you insist on doing it, know that it's not going to ever work like it's supposed to. Sister Deborah on the Redirecting channel did, I think, an excellent video on this topic, and I will put a link to it in the description box. We are still living in the land of our captivity, and just because some black people are filled with self-hatred and hatred of other black people does not change that. Because as much as you think you hate black people, and as much as you think black people hate you, that hatred is nothing compared to the hatred that the people who operate the system that we're in have against us. They have wiped out our whole identity, and their control of this planet depends on them keeping control of our identity. There's no emotion involved in this system. They have a system in place, and they're going to work that system. Now, you already know, everybody knows that white people do not like to see these interracial relationships between black men and white women. Yeah, there is a difference between white men and black women. And even though black men, what about the black women? What about the black women? Black women can navigate these relationships better than black men, because the system says that white men can be with black women. But the system says that it doesn't want black men with white women. And if you do it, and they get a chance to do you in, they gonna do you in. That's the downside of a black man and a white woman being in a jungle fever relationship. Now, y'all let me know what you think about this video. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.